Hello, fourth grade scholars. Welcome back. We've already accomplished so much with our study of poetry, and recently we've been digging into writing. Today, we will take our writing another step further. What are we learning and doing today? You will learn about using punctuation to mark direct quotes from text, and you will add to your literary essay by writing your proof paragraph, number two. And you will write your proof paragraph with me in person in our synchronous learning class. So, your learning target for this lesson is I can use commas and quotation marks to mark quotations from a text. So, let's get started. For this lesson, the materials that you will need is, of course, your Google Classroom independent lesson, marking direct quotes. You will also need your headphones if you have them, and a quiet place to learn. Go ahead and press pause, and when you're ready and in a quiet place to learn, go ahead and press play and we can begin. All right, great. I'm so glad that you are in a quiet place and you are ready and focused to learn. We are going to do a quick review. What does it mean to cite evidence? This has been a learning target for the past couple of weeks for our class. And I know that we went over the meaning of the word cite. So the word cite means to, that's right, the word cite means to quote. And I always say give the bunny ears. Cite means to quote, and evidence means to show, I'm listening, proof. Yes, evidence means to show proof. So we're going to focus on quotation marks today. So using punctuation to mark direct quotes from a text. So to correctly mark quotations from a text, you use quotation marks right before and right after the exact words from the text. You use a comma before the first quotation mark, and also use phrases to show the words that are coming next, are someone else's. So he says, or in the poem, he says. So here is my example below. In this poem, he, quote, comma, I put my comma in a different color so you could see it. In this poem, he says, comma. Now I've added the word he says, so I know that what is coming next are someone else's words. He says, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and explains how they tasted delicious, sweet, and cold. Well, I don't see any quotation marks in this example, and that's what this lesson is about. When do we use quotation marks? So if I go back to my directions, it tells me to use quotation marks right before and right after the exact words from the text. Well, I remember when we read the poem, This Is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams, that I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox is directly from the poem. So I need a quotation mark here. And then if I have a quotation mark here, I also need one at the end of the evidence, which would be right here. So I have my two quotation marks. I also have my commas. And remember, We use phrases to show the words that are coming next. He says. In the poem, he says, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. That came directly from the poem. This is just to say. Now, who is he? Who is he? If you remember, the poem actually comes from William Carlos Williams. And I'm going to show you that poem right now. So this is the poem, This Is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet, and so cold. So let's go back to our example of our quote. Okay, who is he? We know that he is William Carlos Williams. And in this sentence, what words did William Carlos write? What did we get directly from the text? That's right. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. That came directly from the text. And in this sentence, what words did the writer of the essay, which would be me, write? What did I write? The words that I actually wrote were, and explains how they tasted delicious, sweet, and cold. Because those words came from me, I do not need to put quotation marks. I only need to put quotation marks from words that came directly from the text. And those words are right here. They came directly from the very first stanza. Now, let's talk about he says. How can we say he says in a different way? And we're going to look at our comma usage as well. So in this poem, comma, he says, comma, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. We have our quotation marks. Here we know that comes directly from the poem and explains how they tasted delicious, sweet, and cold. Instead of he said, let's try he writes. So you could write in this poem, he writes, I have eaten the plums. But we also know the name of our author, and his name is William Carlos Williams. So I could put in this poem, William Carlos William writes, I have eaten the plums. But don't forget to add your commas. So William Carlos William writes, you would put a comma right here. Same thing here. He writes, you would add a comma. Okay, let's look at a couple of more examples. The author describes. In this poem, the author describes, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox. Yes, that does work. So we can do that. And don't forget to add our comma. And then again, let's look at another example. Ooh, in the text, he writes. So instead of in this poem, you could say, in the text, he writes, I have eaten the plum. So the plums. So that would work as well. But do not forget your commas. So let's see what this would look like. Don't forget your commas. In this poem, William Carlos Williams writes, there's my commas, quotation mark, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, end quotation mark, and explains how they tasted delicious, sweet, and cold. Now it is your turn. Now it is your turn. You will look at this page, marking quotes on the Google Classroom assignment, and you will correct the following sentences. So you will actually rewrite the sentences correctly. Let me show you what that looks like in Google Classroom. So in Google Classroom, right here, you're going to go to your Google Docs. You're going to pull up your document and you can type right here directly. Now, the lines are going to disappear, but that's okay. So I would just start out typing Robert Frost describes the joy in doing chores on a farm. Then he writes, there's that word, writes. I know to put a comma here because I'm getting ready to quote the phrase. This is showing what's coming next. I'm getting ready to quote directly from the text. So he writes, I shan't be gone too long. You come too. End quote. So it looks like the only thing that was missing here was our comma. Now, you will do numbers 2 and 3 on your own. Actually, you're going to do 1, 2, and 3. I helped you with 1 a little bit. But I know that you guys are up to the task and you are brilliant, wonderful 4th grade scholars, and that you will do your very best. So I will see you guys in class, and good luck. Kiss your brains because you're so smart. And we'll see you in the next video.